Hello, I'm Andrew Bowers, and this is the development video for the website that we created in the Emerging Techniques module. I'm going to jump straight into it. To start off with, basically what I did was I used a program called Sketch, which is a design program, not unlike Illustrator and Photoshop, but it's specifically for um, web design, app design, all those types of things. So in this module, we decided to go ahead with a redesign of a existing website, which is the Froth Shop website, which you can see. Well, actually, what you will see here is the new Froth Shop site. Oh no, here we are. The old Froth Shop website. We decided to redesign this website. I looked at Sketch and I did not a lot, as you can see, but I gave a basic overview of how I kind of wanted the website to look and get a little bit of a feel for it. I know this module wasn't about design, really, so it does look ugly in places, but it's more the functionality and the kind of looking into different techniques and certainly emerging techniques. Okay, let's just jump straight into a closed sketch. You can kind of see what I've gone for there. There's your website. Right, so in brackets, this is a piece of software we use to code, and in this case we've done it in HTML, CSS and JavaScript. We'll have a quick look at my website, and this is it. So you can see I've stuck quite steadfastly to the design that I did in Sketch. I exported some of the assets out of Sketch and used them for the title and for this background here. Okay, and we've got a very similar nav bar up at the top here. So within brackets, the first thing that we do is we link to all the style sheets that we're using. So in this case, the style sheets we're using is obviously a CSS style sheet, which is one that we would end up using and we would end up modifying ourselves for our own styling. You've got the animate.css, which is it's basically a style sheet which contains JavaScript animation, so that we can use them in transitions and we can use them to animate certain bits of text or elements. Benefit of using something like animate.css as a framework is that it's all programmed in for you already, as you can see in here. So if we wanted to just go through and find something like wobble, it's been coded already, and we would just need to reference this this element here in our own code. We've also used, which is a key part of this module, is the unsemantic grid framework. One of the major issues web designers have historically come up against, certainly with the development of different devices and size screens and whatnot, is the idea of responsiveness. Is the idea of responsiveness, and instead of having to code for many different screen sizes and many different resolutions and devices, something like CSS grids, which is an emerging technique, allows the design to be responsive, and using a framework such as Unsemantic to do so, as you'll see as I go further in the code, just makes things incredibly easy, and or makes life incredibly easy for a web designer. We also use a style sheet in here called Pictonic, and that, again, that'll become clear. It's talking, we're basically, we use like an SVG type font for our social media icons in the footer of the web page. Again, I've added a couple of other things into the header here, and these are custom fonts. So I've used Railway for our headers and Roboto Slab with a weighting of 300. Now what this does, it when we link them in here, it links to the URL of the actual font on the internet. So you've got this Google API website, which links directly to Railway and Roboto so that we can use them. Okay, so I've also got this bit of meta code in here, this meta tag in here, which defines the character set that we're using, which is UTF-8. Now I'll show you why I did this, because even down here in the corner it says that we should be using a UTF character encoding thing. I was still getting issues in the apostrophes that I used. So what we ended up doing was what I ended up doing was troubleshooting the fact that I was getting a strange kind of @ sign and a pound sign hash and a hash instead of an apostrophe. Through some troubleshooting, I found this website and it said that I should declare the encoding of my HTML file by using this here, and that's exactly what I did. And again, you can see here from Roboto Slab, which is a Google font that I wanted to use. It's quite simple. It gives you all of the stuff that you've got to link in and how you would then specify using that in CSS. So that's basically the style sheets and the frameworks that we've used to make my life a lot easier and quicker as a designer. We've also got in here some of the jQuery libraries that we're using, and you'll see them if we open up the script in here. These are the smaller bits of very small bits of coding that I've had to do in terms of JavaScript on my site. But what this ends up doing is that the actual, the functions in the background are written in a library, and they're kind of like preloaded for us, and they're pre-coded for us, should I say, and we just have to reference them in a much easier fashion. So the harder parts are written by somebody else, some clever boffin, and we can code much smaller just to get the animations, the pretty animations that we want to use. Okay, so that's that bit. As you'll see here, there is some script that I've put in. I will come back to all of this as we go through a bit more of a manageable navigation of what I've done on my site. Okay, so first things first, here's our header section. Now I've given all of our sections, using the unsemantic framework and using a one-page scrolling parallax site gives us a couple of benefits, really. Firstly, it allows us to structure our website in a way that's much easier to code, but also we're able to create separate sections, such as the brochure section, such as the franchising section, such as the marketing section, the purchasing section, and then we have our footer down at the bottom there. But it also allows us, because we've defined those sections as IDs, it allows us to utilize some script so that our nav up at the top can quickly move in and out of our sections there. Now, there's obviously some nice soft scrolling that goes into that, so you can see it scrolls up and nicely moves in and out rather than just immediately popping up. And we did that, and we managed to do that by utilizing some of the code up here. Now, there's this bit here. This is all scripted in here, and again, this was copy and pasted, to be honest, and using a framework that already existed, and the only things that we really needed to change here was how long it then takes to get from section to section. So we just save that. We've changed it to 1,000 milliseconds, and you'll see once I've refreshed it. Right, oh, is that quicker? Who knows?